We're on the phone today with Damian Priest, WWE Superstar. He'll be at the Mayo Civic Center in Rochester coming up on December 18th for the WWE's Holiday Tour Super Show. Damian, how you doing today?
All right, man. What's going on?
Not too much. I'm excited to speak with you. Thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure.
Well, the WWE is coming back to the Mayo Civic Center here in Rochester, Minnesota, December 18th of the Holiday Tour Super Show. First of all, I know it's a bit out here, but do you know who you might be working with on Sunday?
I believe it's the Judgment Day versus the OC and Mia Yim. So we're going to reignite an old rivalry.
Excellent. Yeah. As a guy who grew up in Puerto Rico, I imagine you got to be stoked to be spending December touring through the Midwest here.
Yeah. But you know what? Like when it comes to WWE and work, some of our best fans are out there. So if I have to work, I'd rather it be somewhere where there's true wrestling fans that are just hyped and excited during the season, to come watch us do our thing. So I'm excited about it.
Awesome. I wanted to ask you a bit about your background, and I know you've got like a legit Kumite blood sport style martial arts background. I mean, how do you make that transition into wrestling?
It's funny. It probably made my transition pretty easy, coming from just a background where you're used to just getting your body savaged all the time and, just savagely like destroyed. And, it made it easier because once I started dealing with the pain here, I was like, oh, well, I'm used to dealing with this, and obviously you could tell in my style, I use a lot of my martial arts background and with strikes and whatnot. And it made my transition a little easier than if I would have just came in just with nothing, so I'm appreciative of it. I still, try to train when I can, obviously a little busier these days. So, training in martial arts is not as often, but I still have a love for it. And, and obviously, like I said, it shows in my pro wrestling, technique, basically. And
that coupled with the fact that I know early on I saw you in Ring of Honor working with Kevin Sullivan. I mean, that had to be awesome for you as well to be kind of paired up with a guy like him earlier in your career.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that guy is what a brain for this business. He explained things and broke things down for me that up until that day I hadn't really thought of. Just simplicity of things of how to look at what we do in our performance and, taking moments in between just being somebody off to take stuff, take it in from the crowd. And, he understands how to be a showman. And so I really enjoyed my time with Kevin Sullivan and sitting under that learning tree and Steve Carino as well, who was with him and who's definitely guided me in those years. I was very appreciative of being in that role and being put in that position just coming into the company. That was pretty neat.
Awesome, man. And I know it's been about 2 years now since you made the move from NXT to the main WWE roster. How has that transition been for you? I mean, obviously you've been making the most of your opportunities here so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's a wild ride, a roller coaster of a ride, up and down. My character has tweaked, I think multiple times in the last 2 years since I've just been on the main roster. But yeah, but I've enjoyed it. I mean, it's the dream, I'm one of the fortunate ones that gets to do what they dreamt of as a kid doing with their life. And, I'm appreciative every day, but every day I still know that, you still got to work for what you're doing. So every day I just try to be a little bit better than I was yesterday. And like you said, I'm just trying to make the best out of every opportunity I get. And so far, so good. I mean, I'm having a lot of fun. I get to work and hang out with my friends all the time in the Judgment Day. And then we go out there, we kill it, but we do it in a way where we're just having fun and laughing. And like I said, I can't complain. I mean, things are going really well.
Speaking of going well, not long after you debuted, I know you were competing at WrestleMania with Bad Bunny. What was that like, being a relatively new guy and then competing with a big celebrity at WrestleMania and then, a fellow Puerto Rican like Bad Bunny in that? I mean, that's a lot of pressure, I imagine.
Yeah, to say the least. I'm coming in brand new. My first WrestleMania, his first WrestleMania, a celebrity, which obviously, when it comes to celebrities in our business, they're not always received well because they usually come in to promote something and they could care less about our business. But he was not that guy. He was a lifelong fan. This was part of a dream that he's always had. And he even relocated to train and really dedicated his time and his brain to just this, for while he was doing it, which I thought was extremely cool. It was a lot of pressure, but through it all, I think it ended up being best case scenario for me as far as my first WrestleMania. I got to do it while making, I think a lifelong friendship with somebody, and going out there and putting on a hell of a performance. And I mean, it was just, I couldn't have written it any better. I really enjoyed that, and it worked out great, and everybody was happy, which I'm really happy about. But that was really cool, and it was so cool that to this day, like, we miss having Bad Bunny around.
That's awesome. And again, you're going to be with WWE here coming up on Sunday at the Mayo Civic Center in Rochester, the Holiday Tour Super Show. You mentioned Judgment Day, and you guys have been kind of one of the main focal points here in WWE as of late. And, working with guys like Finn Balor and, against like Edge and Rey Mysterio. I mean, I think that says a lot about you and how far you've come in the last 2 years to be, paired up with all these legends.
It's wild. I sit back and because, I got to take it in sometimes. And it's insane to think where I am, you're just on a regular basis. On TV, like you said, with guys like Edge, Rey Mysterio, Finn Balor, obviously in the Judgment Day, and AJ Styles. I mean, it's just wild that this is every week. This is what I'm doing, and I'm in there with the best of the best, and going out there and not just working. I mean, we're having fun. We're doing the thing, and I'm just extremely grateful, obviously, but I love what I do, and I love that I get to do it with my friends and the experiences. And the fan in me is, on cloud nine. It's just remarkable, and I'm glad that it's translating to our audience too, where our audience is enjoying it with us. And man, it's just a cool, wild ride.
Definitely. And I got to ask you, of course, we just had the big shakeup with Vince McMahon leaving WWE and now Triple H running things. How's that been for you? Behind the scenes, I guess, as a guy who came through NXT, does it seem like things are maybe more optimistic backstage with all the guys?
I mean, at the end of the day, we always have the same job to do, is go out there and put on the best performance we can for our audience. That narrative does not change. Obviously, it's a changing of the guard, different boss in mind, but it's just, everybody's different. Everybody's experience is different. For me, obviously, I have a working relationship with Hunter, from NXT, and he's the one that brought me in initially. When WWE had turned me down so many times, Hunter was the one that was like, all right, let's give him a shot, and when you're talking to him, he was always more about character stuff. He was like, look, we got enough good wrestlers here. That's not, he was, I know you can wrestle. That's not what you're here for. He goes, I brought you in because of the potential of just your presentation and stuff like that. And so we've always had this understanding because we think alike, and it was pretty neat that we've got to do some special things in NXT, and now I'm grateful that we're getting to do special things on Monday Night Raw. And you can see it, and you can see we're all products of Hunter, right? Finn Balor, myself, and Rhea all came up through NXT. So we came up learning the WWE way and system through Hunter. And Dom now, who's still young in his career, he's experiencing it firsthand with Hunter as well. So it's kind of cool that we're all either in the we came up the same way, or in Dom's case, he's basically learning similar to us, where he's learning from Hunter and Hunter guys. It's pretty neat.
Well, with that being said, it's been only a couple of years, as we mentioned, but who are you hoping to work with maybe in the coming year here? Maybe somebody you haven't worked with before? There's
crazy amount of names, because when you think about the WWE, it's the best of the best. You got the best talent in the world, and all these larger than life names, and characters. So it's hard to pinpoint one over the other, but I'd be a lie if I didn't say at some point we need the Judgment Day and the Bloodline to get in there, mix it up. And, if I want my name to live forever, if I want the fame and the fortune and the stardom that comes with being the main WWE superstar, I have to do that. I have to run through Roman Reigns. I have that has to happen. So at some point, I'm sure we'll cross paths down the line. So that's always, a thought in my head is before it's all said and done, me and him need to square up. We need to handle some business together, and I know that'll be great when it does happen. But we need to get the Judgment Day up to that level first.
Awesome. Well, On the flip side, I got to ask you this. You and I are the same age. If there was a guy you could work with maybe from back when we were kids, who would that be? Could you name one?
I can name a bunch, but Undertaker always like the easiest answer. You know, he was like the reason why I became a WWE superstar. Just when I was a kid, I was enamored with him, and I remember how he made me feel, and that's how I wanted to make other people feel, you know. Yeah, he was the first that I actually looked at as like a superhero and a supervillain, and I was like, I want to be that. I want to be like that guy. So that's the easy answer. But then there's always like a Scott Hall, you know, like one of my all-time favorites. I think most people know that now. You know, well, just about everybody from like that clique, you know, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, all those guys, you know, and X-Pac as well. Like, I would have loved to have been in the ring with any single one of them or all of them. I think the closest I've come to was I got the team with X-Pac one time at a independent event in Georgia, and that was so much fun. So if I could go back in time, like, there's any one of those guys, but then there's so many more too, like Brett, and there's a crazy list of people I could just keep going through, but I would say the top two would have been Undertaker and Scott Hall. Awesome,
man. It's been great speaking with you. I'm excited to see you here in Rochester coming up, and hopefully a continued success here for you. The Rumble, the WrestleMania, everything coming up. And again, it's been an honor speaking with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Much appreciate those words, Dave. Thank you.
And again, that was WWE superstar Damian Priest. He'll be at the Mayo Civic Center in Rochester with the WWE's Holiday Tour Super Show coming up on December 18th.